Hey, have you heard about Anchor? You probably haven't heard about Anchor yet, so let me tell you about it. Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast. You probably hear other people talk about how they make podcasts. If they say it's easy, they're crazy. All of their methods are really hard and complicated, but Anchor, super simple. First off, it's free. They have creation tools that let you make the podcast right from your phone. You don't even need a computer. This is 2019. Who uses computers anymore? Anchor distributes your podcast on all the other platforms. No need to go do all that complicated searching and hosting and posting. Hosting and posting. They do it for you. You can also make money from your podcast. Well, that's what I'm doing right now, because you're listening to this ad. They've got everything you need to make a podcast in one spot. No need to search around all over the place. No need to go to 20 different sites. Just one. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Bet you thought I was going to sing right here, didn't you?
Are you looking for the hottest news out of the obstacle racing scene? Want to stay up to date on the freshest info, the latest podiums, and hear interviews with the who's who in OCR? Well, you've come to the wrong place. Well, some of that you'll find here. But we're not the media. This is not ORM, OCM, OCRM, ORCM. This is OCR Talk.
Hello, this is Jason Dupree.
And I'm Anna Leandri.
And you're listening to OCR Talk. This is episode 32. Thanks for joining us. I hear a dog rumbling around in the back.
Yeah, she's like waiting to come in my room, but she's just kind of being nosy.
We're going to try and cram in as much as we can into the limited amount of time that we've got today. So just to start off with, I guess, quick, what you been up to?
Packing and end of the school year, and yeah.
When's that move happening?
End of June. So like 4 weeks.
Nice.
Yeah.
We're actually about to move just about 5 miles away.
Yeah, how's y'all's move coming along?
It's coming good. We plan on having it all done by this end of this weekend. It's been kind of just a little bit of trickle right now.
Yeah.
But
I absolutely despise packing.
We're having a garage sale this weekend.
Yeah. I've been, so I sold my treadmill, I sold like my weight bench and my barbell and some other little odds and ends that I just don't feel like keeping around the house.
What do you use to sell that kind of stuff?
Facebook.
Facebook Marketplace?
Yeah. Oh, I posted it in like my little neighborhood Facebook page. And I figured I would start there and then like branch out to the other surrounding areas of Lafayette. But as soon as I posted like my treadmill, I got like 5 different messages just from my neighborhood. And yeah, this one lady was like, I'll pay you more if I can pick it up tonight. And I'm like, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to handle this.
You gotta haggle.
I know. I'm such a bad salesman. I don't know. I just wanted it out of my house so I didn't have to move it.
Yeah. Right on. Well, we did, Austin this past weekend, which we'll talk about a little bit. Terrain race we were going to go do the weekend before, and the weather looked just as bad as it was the last time, and we were going to get the kids to go run, but since it was actually at that cold again,
yeah,
nobody really wanted to go. Like, my wife didn't want to go. The grandparents that were going to go to watch didn't want to go, so it was just like, I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
Terrain has lost my love.
Isn't that so weird how, it's a free race. So really, if the weather's bad, there's really nothing lost, right? So like if it was something that you had paid for or that you were going to go compete at, you were going to go no matter what the weather.
And if it was actually free, then you might say, no big deal, whatever. But since they say it's free, but it really costs about $17, then you're just kind of mad that they lied to you.
Exactly.
So we do.
Hashtag dead to me.
Yeah. We only had 2 people tag us. Well, I say that. We had one person tag us in a post for the Tumbler giveaway and one person send a picture. in a private message.
Hmm.
So Charlotte Engelman, who tagged us in the post, she wins a tumbler because she actually tagged us out while she was running or something.
Oh, nice.
Whereas Jason Rich sent a picture of him with a frog.
Was that
He
part
said,
of
"Giggle."
was that part that was part of like the bonus?
Well, I
bonus
said if
thing.
you actually send a picture of you actually
Gigging
gigging
a
the frog,
frog.
he was just holding one, so he captured one, but he did not gig it. He said he
but
was
the
at
gigging was already gigged.
he said he was at something with kids, and he figured a gigging it wouldn't have been appropriate. So Charlotte, we'll get the tumbler made and sent out your way. We'll find the nicest, fanciest one that costs the least, and send it your way. And then the ad monies have been rolling in, and actually, like I said, they've been doing well. And then now we've got a supporter or two, and we've got 2 supporters, and what was the other thing? Oh, and the code for when you purchase
Endure Elite.
Endure Elite,
Mhm.
Ref10-OCR Talk. If you use that code, we get a little cut of that as well, and you save 10%, which is pretty cool. So with all those monies, it's kind of starting to build up to where we're getting more and able to do giveaways that are a little bit more expensive. So I can't wait to see if it keeps growing like this, what it turns into and what kind of cool stuff we can give away.
I just used the Endure Elite code yesterday.
Nice.
Because I ran out of Perform Elite, and my workout this morning sucked.
Do you not have a subscription?
No, I don't. I don't like doing subscriptions. I don't like committing like that.
I'm not sure why I did it. I feel it's kind of the same way for some things. Like on Amazon, you can subscribe to a lot of stuff, but I really don't. But for Endure Elite, I did.
I feel like if I was consistent enough with it or something, I would subscribe to it. I'm afraid to commit to stuff like that sometimes. But Netflix and Hulu and Amazon Prime, I mean,
well, yeah, I mean, if you
they
use
can
them as
jack
much
up
as
the
you are.
prices
All right.
on that as many times, whatever.
But yeah, keep on using that code. We'll get a little bit of giveaway money for it.
Yep, and it's Ref10-OCR Talk.
Interesting happenings as of late. New Spartan shoe has gotten announced. What are your thoughts on these?
The craft shoe.
Yeah.
Spartans burned me before with their Reebok shoes.
Oh, they burned everybody.
But they were really nice in practically giving them away.
They gave full refunds on pretty much
for
all
sure.
of them.
They were those Reeboks were terrible. They were like a one and done shoe.
But did you like the shoe besides the fact that it fell apart? Like the shoe itself, did you like it?
Not really.
Not so much?
Not so much.
I did like the Reeboks. I liked the way they felt running in them and how they handled terrain. I know they didn't necessarily handle mud super great, but other than that, I did like them. My thought is that these crafts look similar, obviously different, but if they're anything even close to the other ones, just built better, then I'd give them a shot. I'd be happy to give them a shot. And it is a different company, and Craft does, they're I guess a company that's working in more realms that are closer to what we do instead of just straight up running. They're doing a lot of they're more clothing in general, right?
They're more clothing in general. I feel like kind of leery about companies that are like trying to put out all kinds of merchandise versus like just sticking with a few specific pieces and do really well at those.
Yeah.
Instead of just like putting out like really good stuff.
Yeah, it's understandable.
I
may wait with these. I've got enough shoes at the moment, so I'm not like really dying to try them. But if the prices go down at some point, I'll give them a shot.
Yeah, I would definitely demo them.
Speaking of which, the VJ Maxes are supposed to be coming out sometime soon here as well. And I know one of the complaints about the VJ Extremes that a lot of people had was simply the fact that the toe box is so narrow that it really kind of jams on your pinky toe.
Yeah.
And so people are going up in a size or 2 sizes or whatever just to make room for that. But the VJ Maxes are supposed to be wider in the toe box, more for longer distance.
And my Innovates, I used to have that problem with Innovates whenever I ran in those, and I tried several different models. I tried going in some of the models, I had to go up like a size and a half, maybe
Mm,
even almost two sizes, because once they would get dirty, and then I would have to wash them and clean them. Once they would dry, it was almost like they would be a smaller
kind of
size once
shrink a
they
little. Yeah.
dried. Yeah. So, yeah, my feet just don't do well with the narrow sizes, more narrower companies, I guess.
Well, for those that haven't listened to Matt B. Davis's interview with one of the craft guys, craft marketing guy, definitely worth a listen because they talk about how Joe DeSena like really hammered home that he wanted the shoe to be bulletproof, and that's what they sought out to do. So if they, they're putting a 1 year warranty backing on it, so if anything does happen, you can get that refund or get a new pair. But if they stand up to what they're saying they do, then they should hold out and last a long time.
It's worth a shot.
Speaking of interviews by other people, Link Endurance, one of their latest podcasts had Yuri Force on, and I know Miles he talks constantly. He's like, man, I really want to get this guy on the podcast. He doesn't really seem like he talks to anybody else, and I can't say I've ever heard him in an interview before. So it was pretty cool to hear him talk about what he does and why he sticks to Savage. And so that's another interview that's really worth a listen. But most important thing that got out of it is that he's going to be at Conquer the Gauntlet, Dallas.
Oh, like just the Elite Wave?
Yeah, probably so.
Okay.
I don't think he's doing continuum stuff.
Oh, well, I mean, he like dominates those Savage races. Like that's his wheelhouse. That's what he's good at, and that's where he stays. So that would be really cool to see him compete in Dallas and at CCG and see how he does.
Yeah, and if there is another race that is, I guess, closest to Savage, it would be Conquer Gauntlet because you got tough obstacles with mandatory obstacle completion. So it would be really cool to see how he does.
Yeah, so he's already used to the format. He's already used to the style of competition. He's already used to like the level of obstacle difficulty that can be encountered. So I think he's gonna do pretty well.
Yeah, so it'll be really cool to see him go up against the standard, the normal people that go to Conquer Gauntlet. But at the same time, you got Continuum happening for the first time, at least in Dallas. And I'm curious to see if I would take it that Evan Preparis will be running Continuum. So obviously he'll be one to compete against and lose against. But it's one of those things where it's like battle. It's like you don't know who's going to be there. So somebody
Yeah,
like me even stands a chance to be on the podium.
you never really know. Never really know. And yeah, I'm just excited for that race because it's gonna be the first multi-lap OCR of the year, at least for me. I know Mike went to Toughest last weekend, killed it,
Yeah,
but
toughest Philly happened.
yeah,
Mike Stefano, he seemed like his knee held up well, and I think he was kind of getting a little bummed about the issues that he's had lately and what that means for him in endurance racing and kind of rethinking things, But so hopefully, it seems like that race really got his spirits back up, and he's pretty happy about his performance. I mean, he got 30 miles, which is pretty awesome.
yeah, he totally killed it. What did he say his goal was? His goal was like what, 25, 30 or
25.
something like that?
Yeah.
25. So not only did he like totally underestimate himself at the beginning of the race. He's like, you know
Yeah.
what? I'm just gonna go out there and have fun, and if anything, I'll just assist 100 mutters. And not only did he go out there and have fun, get his spirits up a little bit, he like totally crushed his goal, which is super cool. So congrats, Mike.
So yeah, this past weekend we had the Austin race, and we were down. Me and Mark Duplessis were down there camping out, and where the Austin race is in the past, they had the start and festival area at this big pavilion by that lake. You remember that?
Yeah.
That's where the camping is now. So they've moved the start and festival area to another spot where the parking was in the past, and you had to be bussed over to this spot. So we camped there now, and since it was going to storm, we actually camped under that pavilion. So we actually had a bunch of tents and hammocks set up under there, which is pretty awesome.
I had like a little tent city.
while we were out there, Mark and I were just chatting about Spartan and championships, and we actually pulled out the mic to record some, and I got a new phone, and it didn't have a voice recording app for some weird reason, so I downloaded one, and turning off my screen stopped the audio intake.
Well, that's dumb.
So that was no good. So we talked for about 15 minutes and had nothing to show for it.
Oh, and didn't realize it until the end.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, but no, we talked. It was a good conversation. We talked about how Spartan uses the World Championship, Tahoe, a beast, a large beast, as the championship race, and you don't really have, since you don't have a sprint distance championship and a super distance championship, the beast isn't a good representation of the best. Who's the best at Spartan?
Yeah.
But in an interesting sense, you do have a stadium series. There's no final championship race, but you do have a series with a series leader and winner. And then you've also got the Ultra Championship. So why not have, and you've also got a trifecta championship. So why not have a sprint and a super championship?
Well, to me, the trifecta championship would be the championship that would decide who is the best at all the distances, right? So, like how they do the trifecta championship in Greece or whatever.
Yeah, and you're kind of right there, but the way they do it is a time trial. Like your time over the course of 3 races is your ultimate time. So since one of those races is a really long race, it still lends itself to the better performers at the longer distances. My thought is if they made it to where it was more of a point series. So for winning the sprint, you get a certain amount of points, but for winning the beast, you get the exact same amount of points. That would make more sense to really show who's the best at all 3 distances. But for example, at this past year's Trifecta Championship, John Albin lost the first race. I mean, he got second, I'm pretty sure. And then he won the Super and the Beast. So, assigning points to those, he still would have won the whole thing. But what if he would have been 4th in the sprint? That could definitely change things up. Whereas if he was 4th only by a minute versus 1st and won the Beast by 10 minutes, then he's still going to win the whole thing.
I mean, yeah, point systems definitely make a lot more sense versus how they do it now. But yeah, I still think like with the trifecta championship, they're going the right direction with that. Like the championship beast in Tahoe, I mean, I'd have to agree unless they made a championship series for each distance or made it a super distance, maybe a little bit longer than a super distance, then maybe I would think that that was a little more of an indicator of who is probably the better athlete.
It could, but series. Even if it was just a super, think about how short a sprint is now compared to a super. A sprint used to be 5.5 miles. Yeah. But now they're supposed to be right at, a 5K or 3.5, 3 to 3.5. That's a big difference from an 8 to 9 mile race.
Right.
If you think about it, OCR World Championships, they already do this. They've got a 3K and then they've got a 15K.
Yeah, and they just have the 2 distances. Right.
So it kind of behooves me of why Spartan doesn't have them. Or it makes me wonder if they're thinking about that, or, is it Joe DeSena who wants to keep it as the longest race is the hardest one, but then at the same time, why have the Ultra separate or have the Stadium Series separate? Like, you're already breaking it out into all these different places, so it seems like a great way to bring in more athletes because people can specify and be more in tune to a certain distance.
Yeah.
You might run. I think one of the questions we ran into is, let's say you had all 3 distances championships. Would they be in the same weekend? That's what OCR Worlds does.
Yeah.
But people could still, if they're all on different days, people could still run multiple distances if they want. But what does that do for the open waivers? You would have to take out, like, you could still do journeyman or something, but you would have to take out open waivers because you can't have that many people that Spartan brings in.
Right.
When you've got 3 days of championships happening There
And
just wouldn't be time
that
for it
could
all, I
very
don't
well
think.
be why they haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
That really could be very well be why. And I think that's probably why they try and have different distances of races kind of built into the championship series,
Hmm.
but I don't think it's enough of a diversification
Yeah.
because it all kind of culminates into the beast in Tahoe. So I don't know. I still think it probably should be closer to a super distance because I mean all the athletes, all the elites with Spartan can anything can happen during a super. There's huge changes in lead placements that can happen in a sprint. I think they're too it's too short of a course
Hmm.
to do that with. But I think the super would be just kind of that middle ground distance to where, anything could still happen, but it's still a little bit longer of a distance, but not quite as long as a beast.
Yeah, and if that would be as exciting to watch, I don't know. But one thing that's cool though is that Spartan has changed up their championship weekend this year, so it is going to be open waivers on one day and then the competitive stuff on another day. So that'll be a good indicator of maybe we don't, maybe they don't need financially the open waivers for that one event. And I mean, with as many events as Spartan has, I can't see it really being a huge loss, especially if you can turn it into a 3-day weekend where you've got more competitive people coming in, which is going to just grow things, I think, and possibly even attract more sponsors and get it spread more. So if you've got all these different distances, you've got sprint championship that's easier to film and
Hmm.
easier to watch and intake as well. So I think it'd be interesting to see, but I do think that there's better ways for them to do it, as there always is. I mean, they'll just keep growing.
They're the only competitive series right now. Like
Yeah.
big name competitive series. It's kind of made a name for itself. So,
That reminds me, OCR World Championships is on YouTube, but it also showed up on this website called
oh, and they're on Amazon Prime. I forgot about that. I
Yeah, that's
saw an
right.
email.
Amazon Prime. And then also on another website called endurancesports.tv.
Hmm.
I checked this one out because somebody posted about it in the Discord and said, looks like OCRM's got a competitor. When you go to the website, you can see that there is a subscription that you can get. But what they're doing differently from OCRM is that their subscription is for features, not for content. So it looks like all the content is viewable, easily viewable,
Hmm.
but then the features are like save your playlist and do different things like that on the website, which I don't really care for the features that they got. Like it doesn't, the price per what you get doesn't really make sense to me,
Hmm.
but it's still nice to say the content's free. If you want to come watch it, come watch it. They actually have a lot of like triathlon and maybe I think bike races. I forget, but they have other endurance events, long trail races. They have a lot of other things that they have on there covered, as well as OCR World Championships from last year and a little mini series about John Elwyn, which is kind of cool.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
they don't have a ton of OCR content yet, but if they grow in that, I could see that site being better than some of the other ones that are out there, particularly in the fact that the content that they have on there is good stuff. Like it's like the John Alvin miniseries was really well filmed and put together,
I'll have to check
whereas
that out.
it's not just another company producing their own content, which is not super great. Like I won't take that any further. But yeah, cool place to go watch that and maybe even check out some other endurance sports that might interest you. Spartan Big Bear happened this past weekend as well. And as anybody knows, Johnny Luna Lima won over Ryan Atkins and Ryan Woods in second and third place, which is really awesome because this guy has been hanging around the fourth, fifth. I think he's actually tied for fourth in the series, or was at least.
Hmm.
I'm not exactly sure, but really cool to see a new name hop up at the top of the podium. We've seen Kimson and Kent and some of these other guys who have hit the podium at some pretty big races before, but Johnny Luna Lima has just kind of been floating around,
kind of hanging around
within
in
the
the
top
background.
5. Yeah,
Yeah.
top 5, top 10.
Which is crazy because I totally forgot about him, and I've heard his interviews, and he just completely escaped my mind. I was just for fun. I was doing that Yancey Camp contest where you can guess who's going to be in the top 5 for the men and the women.
Yeah, on
And
the Yancey Camp website.
yeah, and I filled out my guesses, and like whenever I saw that he had won, I was like, God, why didn't I think of him? Like I've heard about him and I've listened to him so many times, and he completely escaped my mind. But yeah.
So Jack Bauer's in the Discord as well, and he usually will give info or insight into how people voted, and said that I think only 10% of people didn't have Ryan Atkins at number 1.
Yeah.
And I want to say I think he maybe said only one person had Johnny Luna Lima on
Anywhere
in
in
top
their
3.
top 5. Oh wow.
No, they had him in top 5 for sure,
That's crazy.
but top 3 on podium. So yeah, it was definitely blew everybody away. Super awesome seeing the interview with Matt B. Davis at the end of the race, and just seeing how emotional he was. He didn't really even know what to say. He just was kind of rambling at that point because he was just so excited. Did you get to watch the footage from Big Bear?
No, I haven't. I haven't had a chance to watch anything or listen to anything.
So there's a spot where Lindsay Webster comes down to the spear, and she runs up behind a guy who has just reeled in the spear and got it to him, and says, "Hey, do you mind if I take this?" or something along those lines. Like, not like, "Hey, give me that spear," but asking him if she can have it.
I could so picture Lindsay ripping a spear out of some guy's hand, like, "Give me this."
She asked it in a somewhat courteous way,
polite Canadian way.
Yeah, but the guy gives it to her, and maybe it was just the angle of the camera or something, but he looked perturbed that she
Really?
she took it from him. I mean, he gave it to her, but
Yeah.
he could have said no, but then he would have looked
like a jerk.
I'm sure he would look like a bad guy. Yeah. So it's really odd. Like, the rules don't say that you have to reel it back.
Yeah.
The rules just say that you got to throw the thing.
Yeah.
But the rules do say you can't have assistance from other athletes.
Right. I see where you're going with this.
So
yeah.
Where does this fall?
Right.
It's kind of a weird.
No, yeah, I see what you're saying, because that maybe saved her like 5 seconds or something, reeling in a spear, whereas he just kind of did the work for her. I mean, you still have to make it, of course, but
yeah, and every spear should be out there already. Like, even if somebody misses, it should still be away from the fence, and you have to pull it to you.
Right. Even if you're the very first one to get to it.
Sounds like they need to revamp those daggone rules, which have yet to be updated with all the changes that they've made lately.
Yeah, what about their round table?
Oh, yeah, whatever group that they have.
Or something.
Well,
whatever they're
apparently
called.
they're making these rulings, but they're just not putting it in the official PDF document.
They're not updating their rule book.
Like the stuff about the Z-wall, being able to hold on to the post, that's not in there.
Yeah.
Remember in San Antonio, they told us at the start line you can use them, and then we got to the obstacle, and they said, no. They said it was a multi-try obstacle, and then you got to the obstacle, and they said it wasn't.
Right.
This weekend in Austin, they told us the first day at the obstacle, they told us we could use the post. On the second day at the obstacle, they told us we couldn't use the post. So that's just silly.
Miscommunication with volunteers.
Yeah, and if the official document was updated, then it would be awesome to be like, no, I know the rules better than this volunteer, so I'm going to ignore them, and they can report me. But obviously, if I get in and I did the rules correctly, then it's not a problem.
Yeah, because I can just consult the rule book and
right, but you can't do that because you can't know for sure if what you did is right because it's not the freaking rule book's not updated.
Right.
So who are they going to listen to? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Speaking of rule books, did you see footage? I did watch footage from the Savage race this past weekend. Did you see the women's race? I think it might have been from. No, it wasn't from the Blitz, I don't think. But
I don't think I did.
It
What happened?
was one of the top 3 women. They were having trouble with the Kiss My Walls, which is their version of the Z Walls. Except it's slanted. It's on a platform and it's like slanted, and it's got like rock climbing holes all across.
Slanted outwards.
Right. And so I can't remember if they were, I think second and third place girl were at the Z walls together, and they were both kind of having trouble getting all the way across. They kept slipping and everything like that. So one of the girls asked if she could take off her shoes. Of course, Sam was there with the live footage, and he asked somebody if it was okay for her to take off her shoes. So they told her, yeah, it was okay. So she took off her shoes, and she got a good bit down the wall before she slipped off again. But then I think eventually she made it. But then there was some point during the video, whenever she was trying to attempt the obstacle still, whenever you could hear Sam saying, oh, but she has to bring them with her. She has to bring her shoes with her through the obstacle. And I guess I don't think anybody told her that. So as soon as she rang the bell, she just took off running to the next obstacle. And without her shoes.
With her shoes, though, right? Like she grabbed them.
Without her shoes.
It's like she left them?
Yeah, she left her socks and shoes.
To finish the race without her socks and shoes.
Right. It was like the second to last obstacle. So I think like there was the Kiss My Walls, and then there was the obstacle. I can't remember names. Yeah. There was that obstacle, and then there was the finish. So it really wasn't that much longer till the end of the race. But I don't ever know.
Yeah, but
I don't know what
that seems like an easy one, because anything you bring on course, you got to finish with.
Right. Because there was this girl, a different girl that was doing the same thing, that tried the same thing, but she tied her shoes together and just like draped them around her neck, so that that was kind of smart. So I don't know whatever happened with that. I don't know if she probably got bumped down a place or something like that.
Oh man.
Or if she got disqualified.
Be interested to see that.
I never followed up with it to see what happened, because they had to go back and look at their rule book and see what the official rules are. But yeah, I would think anything you bring out there with you have to finish with.
I'll jump on the Discord into Savage Race channel and find out. That's cool. Interesting, at least. Well, the Austin weekend turned out to be pretty dang good. We were really worried there was going to be just thunderstorms all day Saturday, and worried about it canceling again, because it canceled on Sunday the year before. But it didn't. It actually turned out to not really rain. A couple of sprinkles, but not really rain not rained overnight, but not really rain during the race until, I don't know, 10 or 11, like after we were done from the earlier waves. So, and even after it did rain hard for a bit, still no thunder, no lightning. The sun came out later, and it turned out to be a pretty awesome day.
It looked like it was awesome weather.
And then Sunday was just clear skies the whole time. It was gorgeous.
Gotta love that Texas weather for OCRs.
Austin did have some issues with trail markings. I felt like San Antonio did a great job of having 100% tape the entire course. This one did not. There were a lot of spots that were just followed the little red flags and the arrows and stuff. Mm-hmm. So there was a spot that was a hard right that I guess didn't have enough tape cutting off the road that you could continue running down. So there were a lot of people that ended up running down this road.
I want to say my very first, because I was so sad that I missed it this year, because Austin was my first Spartan race several years ago. So I've gone every year since, because it's, my sentimental race, but it just wasn't in the schedule for me this year. So, but yeah, I want to say the very first time I ran out there, I think I got lost. And this was like 4 years ago.
Other than that, I do think it was a great race weekend, and they really put on another good event, and no complaints really besides that.
How was the festival area?
Oh, there was that one thing. So when you walk in to the festival, you go through the merch tent, which is normal. We've seen that before. Right. You go through the merch tent, and you walk right out of the merch tent, and you go around past the finish, past all of the merchants, and then it wraps around like this kind of big loop, and it wraps around to where the start line is. So the start line and the finish line are on opposite sides of all of the merchants, and there's no way to just go around in a full circle. So you have to go the long way around to get back out. So if you're out by the start line watching and you want to leave, even though you're right by the fence and where the exit is, you still got to walk all the way around to go past the merchants. So that was kind of dumb. It's like, I've already passed these merchants once. You're forcing me to pass them again.
Absolutely.
And I really don't care. And then they claim that it was so that you would have to pass through the spot where they had the sign up for your next race with the cheaper codes.
Oh.
But that was like past. It was separate from everything else. Like you could see it from where you were standing by the start line. Like it could have easily just opened a spot right there just to walk to it. It was kind of lame. But besides those two things, everything else was good. I ended up getting 6th place in my age group twice.
Nice.
On both days, which was pretty cool. Interestingly, it's an age group. It's hard to tell who's in your age group and who isn't in your racing. You start with so many different people, and then you got the elites ahead of you, and passing up elites is kind of funny. But by the time I got to the end, I always just look at people and it's like, just treat them like they're in my age group. If they're going super slow, they're probably not, but just treat them like they are. So the very last gauntlet of obstacles, you got a pretty good hill at the end there that you may remember, and then slip wall, rope climb, A-frame cargo net, and then the fire jump. So I was running up the hill, and I saw these two guys in the distance. And once I got to the flat, I started to pick it up, and it's like, I might be able to catch these guys. I feel like I can pass them on the obstacles. And so I get to the slip wall, and one of the guys already tried it and failed. So obviously he's not major. The other guy goes up, and I'm kind of almost with him at this point. Like I think he gets down first, and then I go over. I make it onto the rope like a moment after him. He's on the rope before me. I probably had I just had a perfect J hook, got up the rope in 2 pulls, hit the bell, and took off. So I made it off the rope climb way before he did, and just flew as fast as I could over the A-frame. And then, you do the thing where you throw yourself over the other side, basically roll down it. Did that and got off enough time and look back and be like, wow, I really passed this guy up. So I can stroll across the finish line here. And he came across the finish line after me and was like, oh, man, you passed me. Or what age group are you in, basically? And so, same age group. And, oh, man, you passed me up. And so sure enough, he said he was just too gassed at the end there. But he was my age group. And it's kind of cool because he ended up finding me on Facebook he said on Facebook, he contacted me, sent me a message, said, I thought I recognized you. I realized that you're from the OCR talk. And so we ended up chatting about that finish and just some other things, and pretty cool. His name was Brian Michno. I'm not sure how you say his last name, but pretty awesome. Seems like he's a good competitor for my fitness level, so I'll definitely be looking out for him. But really cool to have that kind of finish and just be like, I'm giving it all I got because this is where my wheelhouse is, and really went for it and it paid off.
Nice, congrats, top 10 finish, man.
Thanks. Yeah, two days in a row. I thought Saturday is like 6. It's like, oh, cool. Maybe I can get even better on Sunday because there's always less people there.
So that automatically qualifies you for for the age group championships, right?
Yeah, I've qualified already, but I won't do it this year. But I might. I've been thinking about trying next year. So if things kind of pan out that way, I'll go try and do Spartan. Actually qualify for West Virginia and then qualify for Tahoe or wherever the championship might be next year. So that's definitely something I'm considering.
Nice.
It'd be kind of fun, and it just because it's a qualification, it entices me more.
Yeah, almost makes me want to sign up for a Spartan this year. That happened completely by accident. I have nothing against Spartan. I really don't. But it just happened completely by accident.
Not a single one. Huh?
Not a single one. Not a single one on the books for this year. Which is amazing. It's probably going to be one of those ones where I just jump into one last minute. And I'm like, oh, I'll sign up for this one. Miles, don't hate me if I do that.
Dallas Ultra Beast?
Yeah. Let's not tell Miles about that one.
Why? What? So what's the deal there? Why is Miles not training you for longer distance stuff?
No, he is, but I already gave him like the specific ones that I really want to do well at, and
gotcha.
Like I'm just really competitive, so I want to do well at all of them.
Yeah.
But I tried to be really selective this year with my races, and I'm like, okay, I want to use this one as like a really good indicator of how I'm going to do at toughest, and then I want to use toughest to use as an indicator of how I'm going to do at world's toughest. So, it's my focus this year.
I also ran into Lazaro. This is a guy that I've seen. I know I saw him in San Antonio, and maybe even last year in like Dallas or something on course, or either like he was watching and cheering me on from the sidelines, and I recognized his face. Saw him when he was cheering me, and because he was like, "Yeah, go OCR talk," and I didn't recognize him. I was saying thanks, but I didn't recognize him. But he introduced himself to me this weekend on Sunday, so I got to chat with him. And,
he got first in his
pretty
age
nice
group.
guy.
Yeah.
Won first in his age group for the
sprint.
Yeah, but I think his age group was
30 to 34.
Either 20, 30.
I'm looking at his Strava because I'm just now realizing that he follows me on Strava.
Oh, nice. Yeah, so it was pretty awesome to see him perform. He was second in the age group to Ryan Joy, who won my age group.
Nice.
Who I actually chatted with him too, and he said, this is like my 5th time, so I should probably start going to elite now or something. Because he said his time was like 2 seconds behind Victor's or something.
Oh, wow.
Victor Quesada's. So,
dang,
dude's quick.
Fast. Yeah, time to move up to the big boys.
Get out of our age group, man. How are we supposed to compete?
Right, that's probably a good indicator of when you should move up to the elites. Like if your time is getting pretty in there with like the top maybe 5 elite times, then maybe it's time to move up. Maybe it's time to graduate from the age group category.
And it's made me think about that myself too. It's like, well, when do you go to elite? Now, obviously, if you're at a race like Tahoe or even a national series race, that's going to be a lot different than it is on a Sunday in Austin.
Right.
When there's a national race the exact same day. So, yeah, keeping an eye on that and seeing like what is your time compared to the elites is interesting. Like looking at mine, I was actually within top 20 to top 30 for sure, but I think some of them maybe would have been 17th or something like that. So like that's kind of cool to say, yeah, I could have been at that point, and I don't know, maybe what's more important, to say that you're such and such in the elite or that you got first in your age group? It's a tough question to answer.
Yeah, and I think everybody has their own opinions and has their own perspectives on that because, we all kind of know how it works because we all regularly compete in the sport. So, but then like outside looking in, if you don't know that much about the series or, anything else like that.
I'd like to hear other people's thoughts on that. Something to bring up in Discord. But anyway, that topic-wise, that's all I had. You got anything else?
I think that's it.
It's probably good to go ahead and wrap it up. I know you got some things to do. I actually have something else I can take care of before I leave here.
My dogs are going psycho with the neighbors' dogs. I can hear them outside.
Charlotte Engelman, good luck, or congrats. You got a tumbler coming your way. I got to get it made first. And everybody else, follow, listen, and talk. And
join us on the Discord. Yeah. Join us on the Discord. I need to be better about keeping up with the Discord. I have a hard time keeping up with our group message.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, there's a lot of chatter that comes through there. So it's growing.
But yeah,
too, so.
it's a really good community though to like look up and see what's happening and just like get to talk to different people from around the community.
If you enjoy talking about OCR, it is the place to be for sure. All right. Well, that's going to do it. Take it easy, Anna, and I'll see you on June 1st. Hey, dog. Hey, dog, what are you doing? What are your thoughts on Rough Mudder?
Declan, you want to say hello?
No.
Bye.